counter-terrorism efforts, including the blocking of its sources of findings. Well, David Lowe is an author, an expert of terrorism issues. He joins us now from Liverpool. Good to speak to you, David. So the bombings on the US Embassy in Tanzania in 1998 saw the rise of Al-Qaeda. How pivotal was this moment for the terror group?
Well, I think it was the first warning that was given that this group was determined to certainly attack not just Western states, but they were targeting the US in particular. I think that goes back to the wars against Iraq. When the US forces were based in Saudi Arabia, and of course that was one issue certainly for Al-Qaeda, which they saw as interference from the West. And then of course we had the attack on the USS Cole just before 9/11, and there was another warning shot. But as you said, you know, we look over the last 20 years, the sharing of intelligence, the focus of efforts by security services, and the military against the likes of Al-Qaeda and of course Daesh as well, you know, has been significant. And of course that was another issue that's been going on the last few years, is the conflict between Daesh and Al-Qaeda, certainly in Syria, because you had the likes of the Al-Nusra Front in Syria who were affiliated to Al-Qaeda. They were, as well as fighting the Assad regime, they were fighting Daesh as well. And so overall, you sort of look at what's happened geographically. Yes, there's been some successes, but their ideology hasn't gone, and they're still manipulating communications like social media and the internet.
So what leanings can we take from the Tanzanian bombings that could prevent future attacks?
Well, obviously we're certainly globally, because you look at the likes of Al-Qaeda and any other Islamist group, they are international terrorist organizations. We certainly have moved on, but what we look at is the threat that they pose, not just, as I said, towards the US or Western states and Europe, but globally, because you look at the attacks that's been going on. You know, there's been attacks again in Syria, there's been attacks from various Islamist groups in the likes of Pakistan just recently with a high death toll. You know, there's been attacks in Indonesia over the last few years. So this is a global threat, and perhaps one big message is that we should really work in earnest and start working together as closely as we can.
Well, thank you very much for that insight there, David Lowe. A diplomatic dispute between Saudi Arabia and Canada has been escalating, and the latest decision by Riyadh is to suspend